this takes us to a conversation about Kevin Stefanski because that timeout before the fourth down play.
Did the same thing in the first half, Bull.
In the first half, he's been doing that.
Thing.
But this one was beyond egregious because think about this, if he doesn't call that timeout.
We get the ball back. With
maybe,
35 seconds.
It actually would have been a little more because remember, they let the clock run before they.
You're right. It probably would have been with 40 seconds.
And if you stop the Raiders 3 and out, you know they're going to run. There's a decent chance they would stop them.
Yep.
Even if you didn't think it was a decent chance, there's at least a chance.
Yeah.
It's inside their own 10.
And the reason they took it was to try to get them to jump off sides.
Absurd.
Absurd. Does he think this is junior high football?
I mean, first of all, these days, in those situations, you almost never get a player to
jump. In those situations, I agree.
It actually happened.
And by the way, Deshaun is not known for a good count.
No, it actually happened yesterday in the Bengals-Panthers game, believe it or not. The Bengals,
on a situation where they were trying to get
the Panthers to jump. But that's like 1 out of 100.
And what was the team that jumped?
The Panthers.
And where are they in the NFL pantheon of teams? 32.
And the thing is, he wasted that time. His clock management.
Awful, Bull.
And timeout management have been atrocious the last 2 weeks, and he is a big part of the reason why they've lost the last 2 games. And I have never said this once the entire time he's been here. Others have said it. I think G said it before. I think you've said it before. I have never said it.
I know where you're going.
It is time for Kevin Stefanski to give up the play call.
Complete cosign.
And it's not even because I think Ken Dorsey's some sort of play calling genius.
Not even close.
He needs to focus on the timeouts and the clock management.
Because he can't do both.
He is struggling mightily right now, and we'll never know, but it may have cost this team the game the last 2 weeks.
And let's face it.
There's no excuse for that.
At the end of the season, you usually miss the playoffs. I'm not saying that they're going to miss it by 1 game this year.
Yeah.
But you usually, 1 game makes a difference for a lot of teams.
No doubt.
And we potentially, we at least, you can say this, we kept ourselves from giving ourselves another chance to win the game.
That's right. You in theory could have had 30 to 40 seconds, no timeout, sure, but you probably have the ball around midfield, maybe your own 40. Again, they didn't have a 50% chance of winning the game.
No.
It might have only been like a 5% chance.
Better than zero.
You can't leave yourself with 0.
It's the same thing with throwing the ball. You probably got a 3% chance of completing a throw-up.
Right. But
throw
it's
the ball
better than 0.
up. Maybe you get a pass interference penalty.
You never know. Maybe the ball gets tipped up in the air and somebody else catches it.
With all of that being said, and I agree with you, the use of the timeout there was, they were saying it on the broadcast in real time.
Yeah.
Ross Tucker was like, I really wish they wouldn't have done that.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody at home was saying the same thing,
but
he's lost in the play calling soup. But I'll say this, as bad as that was, and it was bad, you scored on your first possession a touchdown, on your second possession a field goal. Now, how many chances did they have to score points the rest of the game? 10 drives? Nothing. 0. To me, as bad as the timeout was, Bull, and it was awful.
Yeah.
What I've seen from Kevin Stefanski this year with the play calling, and I don't make decisions week to week. I tend to do it within the season quarterly. We're at the quarter pole.
We are.
I've seen enough. I've seen enough. You're not doing it. You're not getting it done. Now, it might just at the end of the day be this. His play calling philosophy suits a quarterback that is not Deshaun Watson's play set, skill set. The reason I say that is because last year, everyone thought season was over. He was given a slow, immobile quarterback, and look what he did with him. But I don't think this is a good marriage, but we're stuck with Watson. We can't divorce Watson. So Kevin Stefanski needs to hand over the play calling. Yeah. Let's see what Dorsey can do. Who knows what happens?
Yeah. I think, to me, I would even go a step further and say I don't agree with that. What I see in Kevin Stefanski, everybody out there, let me know in the chat, which year was Kevin Stefanski's offense explosive, dynamic, top 5, oh my goodness, we're going to blow the doors off these people? What year was this mythical playbook? Like, in what year? Like, we were okay. It's very...
2020 was their best offense with Kevin Stefanski.
It was varying degrees.
It wasn't top 5, but it was their best.
It was their best. And they...
Hell, at times last year we looked pretty damn good.
But they established was, when it comes to playing the best teams, it don't work.
No.
So they had to make a change. So my thing is, if you had to make a change, Kevin, you hire Dorsey. let him do his
Let him
job.
go. Let him have it.
And you concentrate on everything. Right now, your team looks lackluster. Right now, the defense has regressed. You need to be in the defensive room figuring out what's with that. Right now, you're the most penalized team. Right now, you're the most undisciplined team. Your offensive line is in shambles.
Look at their third down conversion, guys.
The run game.
They picked up 3 first downs yesterday on third down.
Right.
I think it's under 4 every single game.
Yeah, they're the worst.
The conversion.
Third,
I think it's
second.
2, 3, and 4 or something like that.
And I'll give you the analogy. It's just like, you got a buddy and he just got a new house, right? And he got the flat screens, the big screens downstairs in his man cave. He got the beer coolers. His man's man cave is decked out, the video games. But yet and still, all around his other house, the floors ain't done. The cabinets is looking shabby. You need new flooring in the kitchen. You need to rip that nasty carpet up. And on top of it, your roof is leaking. But he keeps inviting you down to come hang out in the doggone basement. You're like, bro, that's cool. The basement is cool. But what about the rest of it, dog? Kevin, the play calling, I know you want to call it. I know that's what you like to do. But your job is so much more than looking at that play sheet, bull. There's more. Yeah. When I watch this team, and we can agree on and disagree on whose fault is it, the biggest problem I see, it seems like there is no soul. When the quarterback's getting knocked down, I don't see linemen saying, dang, that was on me. I'm supposed to pick him back up. I don't see guys, Amari Cooper is letting the ball go over his shoulder pass. And what happened to the defense that was saying, that was P.J. Walker and said, yo, we got to make these stops?
Well, the defense is coming up. By the way, I got
defense has played okay. Not great, not top 5. But middle of the league.
One more thing on Stefanski, though, before we get to the defense.
11 third down conversions for this entire season.
Oh, gosh.
11.
That's less than 3 a game.
Less than 3 a game.
One other thing, and I'm curious if you guys agree or not. Towards the end of the first half, and I understand looking back at the end of the game, you say, well, Hopkins missed that extra point, which I'll give him. Not that I'll give him a pass, but he's been so good.
He has.
Overall,
but
you
it's
trust
typical.
him.
It's like in the one spot you have to have
but
it.
you got to make it.
You got to make it. But what I don't understand is he lets him kick a 56-yard field goal, makes it easy in the first half.
Right.
And then a little while later, he didn't let him kick a 57-yarder and they punted. I didn't understand that.
I don't know. I don't get it either. I know he didn't want to give the Raiders that kind of field position.
But that shows like a lack of confidence in your defense.
It does.
He usually plays with a lot of guts and a lot of – I thought he played real conservative there. I didn't like that. He just seems off, and they are way they're just a bad football team.
So we all agree that it should happen. And I think if you took a poll of the fans, they would want to see a different look.
Absolutely.
But now we also have to remember, he's 2-time Coach of the Year, and I know that we put certain stock in that.
To me, that's way overrated.
I know. But his peers said twice, you're it. Now, I think last year he did it more for holding the troops together in the face of unbelievable quarterback injury. He held it together. And I think he got a lot of points for that, made the playoffs. But what are the chances this actually happens? Because Kevin's not going to give it up on his own. It's going to have to come from one of the following people. Andrew Berry, who I believe is just a puppet. I don't think he has much power at all in the organization. I have determined that the guy with all the juice is DePodesta. And I believe that Haslam could also force a change.
Yeah.
So what are the chances that the word comes from the ivory tower, Kevin, we want to see what Ken can do as a play caller.
The season is going to have to be almost, and that's the
Why
scary
wait
part.
till it's over?
That's the scary part.
At 1-3, it's not completely over.
But that's the Browns thing. They are quick. They are very slow to pivot on stuff that should be. When these other teams do it, they're like, oh, this ain't working, boom.
Well, for context, they're having this conversation in Jacksonville. The Jags have inexplicably lost 9 of their last 10. By the way, it's our only win. Trevor Lawrence has lost 9 games in a row. Trevor Lawrence. That's unbelievable to me.
Yeah.
He was anointed 2 seasons ago
as,
he's made it, he's arrived. It was Urban Meyer that screwed him up. Mm-hmm. Now he looks awful. He looks like he doesn't even belong in the league now. They're having that conversation in Jacksonville. But it's taken 10 games to get there. It's only been the last 5 that the Browns really have looked awful on offense. So I don't know. I'm not sure if
I don't see it happening,
yet.
unfortunately. I really wish Kevin who seems like such a smart guy, would be reflective, self-reflective, and say, this is not working. I need to do something different. I'd give him a lot of credit for that.
So do you think it's possible?
I think it's unlikely.
It's unlikely, and that's that level of apathy that you have, because we went through a whole year where we didn't have defensive tackles, and the organization said we don't need those.
But doesn't it feel like we're getting ready for a gentleman's punt?
Oh no! Oh, listen. Why do you think I'm so angry? Like right now, everything about the Cleveland Browns says, this one didn't work. We'll see you next year, guys.
And by the way, you got to play Washington next week. And it's looked great the last 2 weeks on offense. He's completed like 90% of his passes.
He has 6 incompletions in his last 2 games.
Yeah.
6.
Good luck.
This guy is absolutely unbelievable.
He's been incredible these last 2 weeks.
And we get him next.
And you thought
you know what? That was going to be the easiest game on our schedule.
Yeah. I mean, the Browns could easily be 1-4 in the start of the schedule that we thought would be favorable for them.
Hate to tip my hand on this already, but they're 1-4.
This team, that game lost to the Raiders, given what the Raiders did the week prior, given the fact that they were without their best 2 players, given the fact that they had 2 rookies starting up front, given the fact that we're one of the worst rushing teams in the league and you gave up 150, that was one of the worst games I've ever seen, ever, as watching Cleveland Browns.
The Raiders